Everyone sees your CBE, all the awards, all the business empire. What's the untold story behind where you are today?
What I've seen is that Anish has got laser sharp focus and
even though I didn't know how to achieve those at that time, but to dream big.
I see that as a real strength in his business.
AI and emerging technologies. And have you started adopting AI into your work?
What Guru said to me in India once, you should spend your whole life learning, earning and returning.
A great thing about being married to somebody who's so ambitious and so inspirational as well.
I'm very proud of my Indian heritage, especially as I'm getting older and I more understand and becoming more spiritual.
The ultimate aim, as I understand, is to be happy, isn't it?
And the key thing is everything starts with a thought.
Yeah.
Once you can think of it and say, I want to do this, have a guess what? Things start to open up. You start seeing things.
Hope that it will inspire people to do not just about making wealth, it's also giving back to society.
It's called the reticular activating Satan.
Thank you for saying yes to this podcast.
Great question.
So
Namaste and welcome to Global Desi Podcast. To celebrate the incredible journey of the 30 million global Indians settled outside India, we're here to shine a light on the extraordinary stories of people from all walks of life.
please welcome Anish Goyal, CBE, a visionary entrepreneur in care industry, and Miss Anita Goyal, MBE, educator, change maker, and a personal development pioneer. Welcome, Avnish ji. Welcome, Anita ji. How are you today?
Great, thank you. And thanks for having us on your podcast.
Thank you. So, Avnish ji, my first question is to you. So, everyone sees your CBE, all the awards, all the business empire, but there's a lot goes behind it, isn't it? So, what's the untold story behind where you are today? Can you take us to your journey of your entrepreneurship and how did you start it?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the journey's in many, many stages and it kind of unfolds over time. I wanted to get into medicine, didn't get in,
Right.
ended up doing accountancy in the end, and then became a chartered accountant. Didn't like that, then joined the family business. I did real estate for about
Right.
5 years, got good at it, but wanted a new challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I got into the care sector.
Right.
I saw that as a really good opportunity to grow, to make a difference, because you're dealing with vulnerable people, older people, you're dealing with team staff. And so I knew that would make me grow. And that was 28 years ago now.
Okay.
And we've done obviously a lot since then. And as we've progressed, we've done more and more things. And one of the key things I think I learned early on was to have big, ambitious goals.
Right.
Even though I didn't know how to achieve those at that time, but to dream big. And through mentors, through seminars, through reading books, it was always about dreaming big and then working out how to achieve it.
Great. So, Anita, what's something in Avinish's journey that we haven't seen and you've been so close to him? What is that struggle which you have seen? Can you, I want to tell us something more about his journey as an entrepreneur.
Oh, so Avnish and I, we've been married for, it will be 11 years
Right.
in August, very soon now. And what I've seen is that Avnish has got laser sharp focus and a very, very clear view.
I'll take that.
Yeah, no, and I see that, and I see that as a real strength in his business, in how he is able to like get the most amazing ideas. Like he thinks of stuff that I think, wow, where did that come from? And I do often wonder how does his mind work, because it's so powerful. I think that's a really a great thing about being married to somebody who's so ambitious and also so inspirational as well. A great role model, not only for myself, for our children, but also for many, many other people out there.
Definitely.
So there's so many,
Yeah.
more important, there's so many great characteristics that he has. He's very patient, he's
There you go.
kind and very loving and adorable. And what I've seen is that, in a lot of relationships, a lot of married relationships, people don't always prioritize their partner.
Yeah.
And, even though Avnish has
Yeah.
succeeded and done so well in the care industry, in the care sector, and also in the charity space as well, he's also a very kind, loving father.
I can imagine, yeah.
And, will ensure that the children are, cared for, and we hopefully support them in a way that's empowering. And for me, I'm so lucky he adores me.
Wow.
And we have fantastic
It's all on video.
picture. Yeah, we do. And we, I'd say, have a big, big emotional tank of goodness in our
Wow.
relationship. So when things aren't going so smoothly,
Yeah,
our couples can get a little bit irritated with each other.
I drive and find this place.
We've got enough good stuff in our pot to cope with some of the difficulties that we may come up against. But overall, I think being in a loving, supportive relationship is really, really great for everything that we do.
Yeah, I think what you just said, when you reach at the top, it's mostly lonely, isn't it? When you have a partner like Anita, you have a company who can support you, not just in your business, but also emotionally support. Do you feel that when you reach the top, you are lonely and you definitely need someone like Anita? So what do you want to say something about Anita's support to what you are today? So do you want to highlight a few things about Anita as well? She said good things about you. So now it's your turn to...
Yeah, that's why I love these podcasts. That's when Anita tells the truth. I mean, she's equally incredible. We have a fantastic partnership where, we bounce ideas off of each other. We're very similar. I think that definitely helps. Similar temperament as well, which is definitely a good thing. And we're enrollable. We're able to enroll each other in our new ideas and thinking. And we like being together. I think that's the other key thing. Is we spend a lot of time.
Good friends, we can say.
That's important, I think. People in relationships often have best friends outside of marriage, whereas we are each other's best friends. And that doesn't mean we don't have other company. We do. We have lots and lots of people around us.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's incredible as well. I mean, as well as her saying how great I am in this marriage, but she's, always huge support to the 3 children. Obviously, is a blended family. So, really respect her for the amazing mother that she is, and obviously supports me and the family and my late mother as well. She did a huge amount of support for her, which I'm so proud of in terms of all of that and all the impact that we're looking to have now. We're running around, always packing in more than we can probably handle sometimes, but we handle it. Albeit sometimes we're running a bit late as we were today.
Yes.
But there are a number of things that we were busy doing along the route. So that's always a bit of a challenge. Well, we don't like saying no to things either. We just jump in and say yes. We don't like letting people down. But we love, and I think the key is we enjoying the journey.
Right.
And, talk about the top being lonely. For us, there is no the top because the journey's always continuing.
Yeah.
And we like to bring people together with us.
Yeah.
I never had this concept of you have to reach the peak, and the peak has to be a point.
Destination. It's always a journey.
Yeah. For me, it's a plateau
Yeah.
where you want to bring people with you so that you've got all this company.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's the point of being somewhere,
Exactly.
whatever that peak is, and being there by yourself? That can be
That's very
Quite
in-depth, I would say.
Yeah.
And whatever he said about you, Anita, I think you should have this in your podcast as your introduction. Great things he said about you.
Oh no, thank you. He's honestly I'm so lucky because he adores everything that I say and do most of the time. But yeah, but no, it's so true. And in saying that, just to add what Avnish said, it's about a mindset.
Yeah.
So you can create that peak where only you stand on that, but that's again as a mindset. It's all made up, and you can create anything.
True. So as this podcast is about Indian diaspora, so next question is about your Indian roots. So whatever you are today, do you think that your Indian roots have any contribution to your leadership style or the seva, the charity work? You both do fantastic work. You're part of so many charities. I was researching about you, the Goyal Foundation and all those things. So what role does your Indian roots play to your things outside your business, the thing you give back to the society?
It's a good question. I think obviously clearly it must do. I attribute a lot of my thinking to my family.
Right.
We've got a very large family of 8 brothers and sisters, and mum and obviously dad passed away many years ago now, but mum has been probably the most inspirational for me in terms of the teachings around integrity, around reputation, respect, doing things well, working hard, being industrious, getting up early, and going to bed early, which don't always follow.
Nobody likes to go to that. Listen to when you're hustling so many things.
Yeah, especially these days with the next Netflix box set that you got to watch and that kind of stuff. But I think so. I think there has been that influence, because obviously mum, she would have learned that from her parents and so on and so forth. And I'm very proud of my Indian heritage, especially as I'm getting older and I more understand and becoming more spiritual, and seeing that a lot of the things that I didn't really understand or turn my back to because nobody ever explained it correctly, or I saw the contradictions or often the hypocrisy in religion as well.
True.
I kind of turned my back on a lot of that. And over the last few years, both Anita and I, we've definitely become a lot more spiritual and understanding what spirituality is. Not just, because I thought spirituality was just being a good person.
Yeah.
And now I understand it's a lot more
than that.
That's led me to not having a fear of death.
Yeah.
Because I understand that, like, the karmic.
That's the ultimate truth, isn't it? Death would come. So,
So
is there any reference to any Indian, I mean, I don't want to quote any book or any spiritual philosophical thinking you follow? Is it just generic? What about you, Anita? Does your Indian root have any? You've been educated, isn't it? And I know that you've been teaching for a very long time, and then you gave up to join him. So how is being like you? How does your Indian root play the part to contribute to his business? So tell us more about your Indian roots.
So I'm really proud of my Indian heritage, firstly. My parents came to this country in the 60s and 70s. And I was born here in East London, and we often go back to India. And I've got a lot of relatives that are from India. And, in terms of culture here in the UK, it's been right from the beginning, speaking our language, celebrating Punjabi language. Firstly, with mothers who are women, both of Anish and my mum speaking Punjabi, living with grandparents, intergenerational families, the values of family, togetherness, love, and the patience and that you need to get along with each other, as well as just even being in school. So I was in a school where there was a lot of Punjabi community as well. Mm-hmm. So I had a lot of great exposure right from, in my teenage years to Bhangra music, and whether that's culture or not, probably a bit of British Punjabi culture. But, it's really enriched me in so many different ways, like from wearing the most wonderful Indian clothes to being able to cook Indian food. Avnish and I go on holiday, and what we do is we come back and we make Indian Punjabi food. It's you really miss that. So I think that's ingrained in us. So there's so many different aspects of that, as well as, of course, Indian books as well. I mean, I love reading books around India.
Yeah, and you've written 2 books as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've always really been an advocate for learning about women's lives, especially our British Asian women who have done so well, exceptionally well in this country. So my first book is about Punjabi women living in the UK, but were born in India, born in Punjab, and how the transition from coming from India to here, and all the
culture
challenges, and all the cultural differences that they had to face.
Usually partition.
Yes, partition. I had 5 women who were born in the 1930s, sharing their stories. It was so individual. And then, of course, Voices from Gujarat. That's quite unique in that it's got the India, Africa, UK route, which is very different. And celebrating the achievements of these women and their lives has just been incredibly enriching for me, because I've made the most incredible friends, as well as sharing these stories openly with so many communities.
Well, it's given them a voice as well, and I think for me that seeing the differences between India's a vast country, and obviously with what happened with partition and the impact on Punjab versus Gujarat, the stories are quite different. You can see the differences, And I think it's really given those over 30 women real voice.
Yeah. So there's another question about the children. You were born here, but my daughter, I have two daughters. They're both born here. So I feel the youth here, they are slightly confused. They are Desi at home and British or Scottish outside. So how do they find peace with their cultural integration? Like, how did you find peace with your Indian heritage integration? I assume it must be very challenging because you came in 60s and your parent came in 60s, and when did you
70,
came?
yeah.
70. So
I think in the 70s it was tough.
yeah,
No doubt. Our families, they didn't have the kind of education, so we didn't really understand the culture, the music, the art, television, radio, films and that kind of stuff. So you have to kind of fake it a little bit. We didn't get Christmas presents.
Right.
And so, when we'd go back to school, everyone would say, what did you get for Christmas? And we'd go to C&A and get jumpers in the New Year sales, for example. So I'd say clothes. Because I didn't want to lie, but obviously these clothes weren't at Christmas. So yeah, we've had to adapt. I think now,
things have changed upside down.
Oh, completely different. I think, our generation are very proud of their culture. In fact, they're more proud than I think we were.
Yeah.
We would close the windows if we were playing Punjabi music, for example, if we stopped at traffic lights. Now they wind the windows down, and you go to a club or you go to places, they're putting Bhangra music on.
Yeah.
So I think there's a very different, environment that we're in now, which is good.
So just my personal thing, I lived in London and then moved to Scotland, and I see there's still people are learning about Indian because we have very high profile over here. People are doing so good in all the fields, whether it's business, sports, everything. But they still confuse us with other Asian community as well. So there's an identity crisis. So this podcast is a way to show that how Indians have achieved in England. Why can't we do that in Scotland as well? So thank you for that valuable input, Anish and Anita. So Anita, let me go back to your inner spark. Tell us more about it. What does it do? And what inner spark sparked you to start the inner spark?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
So I'll start with the second part first. During COVID, I, as an ambassador, as a vice president of Barnardo's, I could, speaking to the teams, I could clearly see that there was going to be a crisis when young people went back to schools, schools reopened. So I wanted to be able to offer schools some free personal development workshops just to get young people back into the mindset of learning, growing, and we talk about being grateful as well. So I phoned a few of our personal development speakers who are very had some unique ways of presenting and really connecting with young people.
Young people, yeah.
And I just thought, we can do this. We can create a program where we offer this to schools as part of the Goyal Foundation. And it's really taken off. We've now worked with 206,000 young people to date.
Wow.
230 schools.
Wow.
And it's growing. We've got a huge lineup of personal development workshops in schools happening in September onwards. We've got the Big Spark, which is a fundraising event, raising more funds, trying to get friends, family, people who we're connected with to come and join us to help us to really grow this. There's some great opportunities here. We've got 15 delivery partners who are out there every day delivering high-class workshops to schools where there's a high level of free school meals. So we're looking at areas where they're more disadvantaged, so we can just serve young people. So that's what that's about.
That's a very, very good initiative, I must say. So what I see that these days people are so much glued to their phone and not socializing. So does part of that development also help them to come out of those, phone addiction and getting to know more about the world? Do you do any initiative about in the personal development? Is there anything about this?
Yeah, our workshops range from happiness workshops, which talk about setting your goals, about how to use some of those tools to be happier, including being grateful, tapping into mental health as well. So you've got Mind of a Student, who are another great charity that deliver workshops tailored at different year groups. We've got Upfront Theatre Company, who goes into schools and really deal with some of the current issues that young people are faced with. We've got Outward Bound Trust, who are starting their in-school workshops around team building, building resilience and leadership skills. We've got Alan Fusion, who does some great work on spoken word art, and that really helps young people to express themselves, express their feeling, and build their confidence when they're presenting as well. So communication.
Amazing. I think that's...
there's so much. There's so much that these different workshops include.
I was just coming from the web series, if you've seen Adolescent, about things. So I was really shocked to see the young people, the challenges they are facing. The two faces of that series, whatever you... So I was just considering, I was very moved by the series, and how young people these days just go for the Instagram likes and things like that. That really impact their mental health. And what you're doing is an amazing work, building confidence for them and personality development.
And I think it's about content consumption.
Yeah.
And that's what's having a negative effect on not just young people, but I think a lot of people who are on social media, that you've got to select your content very, very carefully. And you've got to take responsibility for that. Be it a parent, be it a child, educating your child, speaking to your child. And again, schools, as a community, as a society, we have a responsibility to our children, next generation, on how we can counter the effects of negative content consumption.
Yeah, true. So Avnish, tell us more about your charitable work. I was just Googling and I found so many things you're involved in, the Goyal Foundation and all those. What inspired you to start all those? If I've been very blunt, is it just when you have a lot of money, you want to do something for the community? Or is it always had that thing in your mind that I want to give back to the society? So what inspired for you to set up these charitable works?
Yeah, I think the first time when I was looking back, probably about over 20 years ago,
Right.
I was in India, in Delhi, and one of the things that we've grown up with is, especially in our culture, is don't give to charities because all the money gets wasted.
Yeah.
It goes in admin, or it gets embezzled or whatever. So I kind of grew up with that, and therefore there was almost a disincentive to contribute. But then I was in India just over 20 years ago, and I was, like I said, in Delhi. There was these two little boys that were asking for money, and instead of giving them money, I said I was outside of Domino's Pizza. And I said, would you like pizza? And they both said yes. And I bought them these small individual pizzas.
Right.
And when I gave it to them, they were so delighted, so happy.
Wow.
That you get that kind of buzz, that feeling that you made a difference to them. Because if you give them money, you don't know where that money's going to go, but you know where the pizza is going to go into their stomach.
Yeah.
And then it kind of got me more and more thinking about what I could be doing personally. And then I had an opportunity to go and see projects in the UK. I was banking with Coots at the time, and they got me involved in going to philanthropic events. And I saw so many family foundations. Some were huge.
Yeah.
And I thought,
when was this?
This was in 15 years ago, so just before 2010.
Yeah.
So I got Coots really supported me, and the idea really was that with our children, our next generation, often we lecture them about how lucky they are, how privileged they are. They're not going to appreciate that. And I remember when my son was about 7 and I told him how lucky he was. You know what, Dad, we don't live in the 70s. Yeah. And that was a big lesson for me. You can learn from your children, right? And mustn't lecture them. So what I thought was, if we could set up a foundation, the Goyal Foundation, and then really use that as a vehicle for them to explore charities, go and see projects, and then see people who are disadvantaged or underserved, that would then give them that sense of gratitude, rather than me telling them they should be grateful. And that's what we've tried to really engender in that. And through the last 15 years, we've given a significant amount of money personally to these various charities. I also got this big fundraiser for Big Spark to bring 1 million children into these workshops. Which I think is a really good ambition to have. But so that was really where it started. And it's just grown and grown and grown now. Now we've got the Hallmark Foundation as well, where we do a lot of work around the aging wealth space as well.
Yeah. So this is when first time I met you, Anita. I don't know if you remember, almost 10 years ago, there was some event about Goyal Foundation in India House there was a lady High Commission of India, Indian Chamber of Commerce event. So I was representing from Scotland. So this is when I first met you, and I think you were signing some books as well. One of you Gujarat lady or Punjab lady.
That's
Yeah,
pretty.
yeah. So it's,
Yes.
yeah, Punjab, long time. Yeah. Anyway, so what you said, Avnish. So I know a lot of people who want to contribute to charity, but they just think that I'm not rich enough, I'm not powerful enough. What difference I can make? So what do you want to tell them? I think like Tesco's tagline, "Every little helps." So what message do you want to give them?
But I think the first thing is my favorite story is the starfish story, which I don't know if you've heard.
Yeah.
It's the little boy on the beach where all the starfish have been washed out. And so there's thousands of them. He's throwing them one at a time.
Yes.
An old man walks past, or a man walks past and says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Can't you see what I'm doing? I'm throwing the starfish back." And the man says, "You're wasting your time. You'll never get them all back in." And he says to the man, "Look, I made a difference to that one, to that one." So I think, everyone, in my opinion, start small. Give a few pounds.
Yeah.
Most people can spare a few pounds.
Yeah.
But it's not just about giving money either. It's about giving of your talent, your time, your expertise, your best wishes even. Just wishing people well when they're doing this work. Because people aren't always well-wishers.
Yeah, true.
So just giving your best wishes is very powerful, because that helps. I mean, when we have people who come to us and say, "Well done, keep making a difference, you're inspiring us." That's our fuel. That's what keeps us going. Because we work long hours and everything else, but we don't feel it.
I think the joy of giving as well, isn't it?
And the well wishers really help us. Because you'll always get some level of negativity, people misjudging why you're doing things,
Exactly.
so on and so forth.
That's true.
So so philanthropy and giving is in all forms, and start now. There's no other time.
So you can give time, money, or well wishes. That's what your message is.
Yeah.
Not necessarily have to be money.
And one thing that a guru said to me in India once was, you should spend your whole life learning, earning, and returning.
Wow, that's deep.
So got to get our children learning,
Lifelong learners,
returning, as well as all the right way throughout your life.
Yeah. So I've got one question for both of you. I want both of your perspective, because a lot of our audience are youth people between 25 to 40-year-old, and so what I believe you do a lot of things during the New Year time, where vision boards, affirmation, and I really follow that as well, and it has worked wonder for me. I seeded this idea of having a podcast like 4 or 5 years ago, and I was just being lazy because family, a day job, you've got charity work, but I said I have to do it, and I said 2024 is the year to start, and it's now completed a year. So what one thing you want to give back to these youth people who are juggling so many things in life to unlock confidence and their full potential? How can they unlock? So I want both of your perspective on this. So anyone between 25 years to 40 years watching this episode, what one thing you can give them so that they unlock their full potential? I think we're not even using our 5% of our potential, isn't it? So how can we unlock? What message you want to give to us, Anita? First,
Yeah, sure. So I've got a few ideas on this, and I think one, I'll give 3 points. I think that would really help. Is communication. Ensure that you're a really good listener.
Yeah.
You ask the right questions, and that you're super curious about people who are doing well. Find, like that peer group that or the role models, and be curious about their lives and how they've achieved what they've achieved. And then communication as well is really important in ensuring that you're speaking to the right kind of people, and you're in that kind of space, that environment. The other thing I would like to encourage young people to do is to network. I think, don't be scared of going out there and meeting new people, because if you start to share some of your goals, your ideas with people, people are very generous. They will connect you with somebody, and that person will connect you with somebody else. So keeping connected through networks is really important. Being really curious and having a hunger for learning. So being top of your game with communication as well.
those are really good bullet point. I would ask our editor to put that in a statement so that people can learn. Yeah, active listening, being curious. I just want to reiterate that everyone gets it right. And what was the last thing you said?
Communication,
Networking.
curious,
Yeah,
and connecting.
perfect. Thank you, Anita. And what about you, Avnish? What from your
I
experience?
think, you talked about the vision board workshops.
Yeah,
We've been running them for nearly 12 years now.
Yeah, I will join next year.
Yeah, you have
Definitely.
honestly. So January the 18th, 2026, they'll be online, as well as a venue in London, which we're just sorting out. And, we've had over 1,000 people do the program, probably a couple of thousand people
Right.
now. And, regularly people come to us. In fact, we're at a wedding in Thailand. My niece got married last week. And, a couple that had come to the wedding had said they came to a vision board workshop last year, and everything on that vision board has come true.
Wow.
And I think the key thing is, we take people through a 3-hour process before they do the vision board. And a lot of this is about, really unlocking. You talk about potential.
Yeah.
Most people don't even
Know what they need.
or know their purpose,
Yeah.
or they're scared to dream. And then what we give them is that platform, as I had when I set my big audacious goal nearly 30 years ago, when someone said to me and gave me almost permission to dream big, right? It's like, what can you lose? And the key thing is, everything starts with a thought.
Yeah.
Once you can think of it and say, I want to do this, guess what? Things start to open up. You start seeing things.
Yeah.
It's called the reticular activating system. The brain, you might remember when you bought your certain car that you now drive,
Yeah.
suddenly you see more of those cars
True.
everywhere, right?
Yeah. That's true.
They're always there.
Yeah.
You just didn't see them. And I think opportunities like that, opportunities are everywhere,
Yeah.
but people don't zone in or
Yeah.
tune into that
Right.
until they say, this is what I want. And I've seen that for myself, is that anytime I've decided or I want to do something or achieve something, people just show up.
Yeah.
Conversations start, and I suddenly hear someone talking about something.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, I read a great book called Many Lives, Many Masters, which Anita was reading. And suddenly that opened my world into spirituality. And I'd never had conversations with anybody about spirituality. And suddenly, almost everyone I speak to now, there's a conversation about spirituality. And they're sharing their stories with me. Now, did they have those stories before? Of course they did.
They had, but
But I wasn't open to that. I wasn't tuned into that.
Right.
And I wasn't asking the right questions. So we've seen some, huge people creating huge goals and achieving enormous things. And it's not just about, work and finance. It's not about, we teach the whole, like the whole spectrum. We call it the wheel of life,
Right.
where you look at every area of your life. Because most people go, I want to succeed in business. And then they forget and neglect their spirituality, their relationships, their health and well-being, their giving back, their family, etc. So here we say, you really want to be focusing on all of it.
Amazing. So I'm just following up what you said, active listening. So let me see if I can reiterate all the point you said. So one is dream big, isn't it? So until you dream big, you will not imagine what you can do. Second is open to opportunities. There are opportunities around, but you have to tune into those opportunities. So they're very good points.
And know your purpose. Know your why you want to do it.
Yeah. So what does success mean to you? If is it being happy or achieving some milestone? How do you see success, both of you? What's your definition of success?
I mean, for me, ultimate success has to be fulfillment. Where you go to bed at night, you're brushing your teeth, you feel happy, you feel joyous. And when you wake up in the morning, of course, the alarm goes off, or you wake up, there'll be a level of, you've got to deal with the day. But generally, that feeling of excitement that you've got things to do, to me, that's real success. Because I know enough people who are financially enormously successful, but I wouldn't swap my lives for theirs, because, too many people focus far too much on one area of their life. They get very good at it.
Right.
But, and I've seen so many people who said they've sacrificed so much. And I don't believe in sacrifice. I think sacrifice creates a victim mentality, creates regret. And I try to avoid all of that.
I think this is some very distilled points I would take. What you said, victim mentality. We should avoid that. What's your definition of success?
I agree with you, Puneet, what you said about being happy.
Yeah.
And you're in charge of your happiness
Right.
first and foremost, and it's a mindset.
Right.
and being happy all the time. That's the first one. Second one is being healthy. You know, when you've got your health and you're actively doing things that will support your good health, your vitality, your energy, your awareness. Yeah, health is really, really important. And finally, the third one is being in harmony. Being in harmony with yourself, first of all, through either of it's through affirmations, through positive thinking, through how you are with people, how you're being with others, as well as being with yourself, being kind to yourself, alongside being ambitious as well. Because you know, we get up in the morning thinking, oh my God, I've got this exciting day. Planning for that, scheduling stuff in so you're doing what you love doing. That's really important. So 3 things there: being happy, healthy, and in harmony.
I think one thing which I've observed in both of you is that you do so many things, and we all, even people, my friends ask, how do you go to London and do a podcast? And I say, we all have 24 hours in our life. The more you stretch, the more you become comfortable in your comfort zone. So why do you think I know there's a lot of science-backed evidence. Why do you think this affirmation, vision board, and things like that really work? I mean, has it worked for you personally? How much it has worked? I would like to know that. And what is that? I know a lot of people these days are doing those affirmation, vision board, but not everybody is landing to success or happiness or whatever they want to achieve. So what is that key bit? I know you talk about it in your seminars and in your event, but what one thing that you guys do differently from others that you want to share something about those things, affirmation? And you said everything starts in the mind. Until it's seated in the mind, it will not happen in reality. So
I think it's a number of things in my mind. It's consistency, first of all,
right,
and constantly growing. We are constantly learning. We're constantly putting ourselves into seminars and reading books. We've created book clubs. We create an environment around us. The moment we learn something new, we want to share it with everybody. If I read a great book, I buy 10 copies and hand it out to our friends. We got into like the spiritual side of things, and we've been doing a bit of work and taking people to the Brahma Kumaris movement. I met we met Sister Shivani earlier this year. We'd spent 4 days in Mount Abu.
Wow.
And so we're learning from the work of the Brahma Kumaris as well. I see it as not being attached to one thing in particular, but learning from lots of different sources.
So
taking the best from the best, and then applying it, but creating that peer group around, like-minded friends. On my Instagram, for example, it's mostly positive stuff that comes up, because the algorithms work. So if you scan good stuff, you're going to get more good stuff, right? So for me, when people say social media is really bad, I look at it, so actually, I post stuff to inspire myself and others. I get other people inspiring me, and I get wonderful messages. Videos that we watch either make us laugh or educate us. So we get a very different version of social media to maybe a lot of other people. But definitely consistency and just keep moving forward. You got to keep growing. You got to keep growing.
Right. And Anita, what's your view? Why does the affirmation and vision board has worked for you?
My first experience of vision boards is in 2012, when my first husband passed away.
Right.
In 2011, I was very lonely, and I was grieving for quite some time. And then at one point I thought, I need to do something different. Only I could do that. My mum was there to support me. My sister was there to support me. I had my 13-year-old daughter, and only I could handle it, because it was my life. It was, my heart that was aching, and I needed to fix that. I needed to be able to take charge of that. So first thing is taking charge of your life, because only you, can do that. So I was on an amazing soul journey for really exploring myself through books, through learning, and also I did landmark of Anish. Then so I manifested of Anish before I go back.
Wow.
For the vision board, so I created a vision board, and I wanted to be married. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to be in a companionship, because I had so much love to give, and I wanted to share it with a partner. And cutting pictures out, writing some words down, all these kind of things, putting it up on your wall. You tracked, I think, and also your actions move towards that as well, because There's no point just putting things on
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
You
Yeah.
got to think it too.
Yeah.
And then you know, your attitude has to be right towards that as
Sure.
well. So I had a very positive attitude towards how do I attract the partner of my dreams, you know, the man that's going to help to enhance me or enhance that togetherness. And that's what happens. That's my first experience. And then I continued to share that with many, many people after that. And we created, when we met, we started doing a joint vision board, which I strongly encourage couples to do.
Right.
So you're both aligned, you can see things, and also to create your own projects as well.
Yeah.
What are your dreams, hopes, and desires in that space as well? So you can both support each other. And then finally, affirmations, I think, are very strong if you do them on a daily basis, like Avnish said, consistently. So I do affirmations for various family members. I use the power of my thought, my soul, speaking to their soul, for example.
Do you want to give one of those affirmations, just a generic?
Yeah, I can do.
Yeah.
So I'll say things like as I was driving here, I was
Right.
like, oh, I've got to do an affirmation. This is my second one. So I do about 2-3 times
Right.
a day. So while I was driving, while I was getting here, I was saying to myself, I am peace, I'm stable and calm, I'm loving, I am wisdom and knowledge, I am blissful, harmonious, I am strong, healthy, I have good health and a good mindset, and I'm happy and a powerful soul. That's it. And every day I make something different up. And I say this stuff to myself. Then I smile at the end.
Yeah.
Is that when you nearly ran over that very good person?
I was looking at we said where we got married in the Langer. And honestly, I was so distracted. I was going back to 2014 thinking about our wedding day. And I didn't see the person crossing. But they didn't cross, luckily, at the zebra
But I
crossing.
think, you know, just
But yeah.
saying about the vision boards, most people know what they don't want, but
Yeah.
they don't know what they want. And if you know what you don't want,
Right.
you get more of what you don't want, because that's what you focus on.
Yeah.
But if you know what you want,
Mm.
you then move towards that, as we said earlier. And it really is that way.
Yeah.
We've seen, like, with the communities that we support and operate in, and including our own families, the amount of success people have.
Mm.
And like I said, not just around
Mm.
their careers or their finances, but, you know, their health and well-being, their spirituality, their happiness and fulfillment. I think that's the key. You know, somebody once said, I don't think I read it, I want everybody to be rich so they can understand it's not the riches that are going to make you happy. And you have to kind of,
I remember that.
you have to kind of get there
Yeah.
to appreciate that. And
Yeah.
do you know, when I teach young people,
Yeah.
I often show them, like, I haven't got that many cars now, but the car, I used to have some really nice cars. And I remember when you were a teacher, I was talking to the gifted and talented kids,
Yeah.
and I showed them pictures of my cars. And I said, look, these are the cars I have. And you could see the kids going, wow, it's amazing, you know. And I said, but these aren't going to make you happy. Trust me. I know you can't imagine that right now, but I've sat in these cars sometimes that were, you know, feeling miserable, and then having to pull myself up and go, what the hell?
Yeah.
Sun is shining, you're sitting in a nice car, Bentley,
Yeah.
whatever. Come on, put a smile on your face.
True.
And that was like 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I've trained myself
Yeah.
to be naturally happy. But,
Yeah.
you know, those days I had to remind myself,
Yeah.
come on, what's your
Yeah.
problem? Why are you focusing on
Yeah. True.
all this stuff? You got 95% of your life is great.
Yeah.
And you got to fix things
Stuck
over.
to those 5.
And that's always going to be like.
Yeah.
Can't have, somebody's asked me yesterday
Yeah.
something like this. And I said, those challenges that you're always going to have, if you're growing
Yeah.
and you're doing things, you're always going to have things that are going to challenge you and
Yeah.
it's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
And they're the things that help you grow.
Yeah.
Out
True.
of some of the
Yeah.
biggest failures and some of the biggest challenges
Mm.
is why we get to be sitting on this sofa talking to you.
True.
So-
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned that you are responsible for your emotional well-being. You cannot have your partner or anybody dictating how you feel. That's a very deep statement, I would
It's
say.
taken me a long
Yeah.
time to
Yeah.
get there, actually. And over the last, I think it really helps having Avnish alongside me, who's,
Yeah.
you know, so well versed in the personal development space. Avnish introduced me to Landmark, Tony Robbins, and we're 10 years down the line. We're still involved in the Tony Robbins program.
Yeah.
And in fact, we're off next week to West Palm Beach for the Business Mastery program. And then as part of Lines, we're off to Japan, and we just get to see the world together and just, again, keep learning from others as well. So
But we're always
each are
learning,
everywhere.
learning to teach, though. One of the
Yeah.
things that I sort of realized over 20 years ago, probably longer actually, nearly 30 years ago, is that if you've got a good message or you learned something, pay it forward. Yeah, because you get so much, talk about giving, the giving thing.
Yeah.
That giving is just information.
Yeah.
And guys, like if you go to a great, see a great film or go to a great restaurant, you tell people, oh, wow, go to that restaurant.
Yeah.
Similarly here, if I experience something great, I want other people to experience it.
True.
It's that abundance mentality. One thing I'd say is that the more all of us live in abundance, causes scarcity.
Yeah.
And it's not a zero-sum game. Like if you progress, if I can help you progress, that doesn't make me lesser.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
So
I think what you said about giving, I was reading Robin Sharma's book where he said, whenever you pay for something, don't feel that money is going out. You wish the money that it goes and help, whether you're paying for a barber or paying for a restaurant. So you should wish well the money you're giving out. Otherwise, not to feel that, oh, my £10 has gone or £20 have gone. Wish well so that money flows. In that way, you attract more wealth. Yeah. Okay. So both of you talked a lot about books. So what are some of the recent favorite books you have been reading? And can you tell us more about any of these?
Now we could do
latest books. The latest one I think is The Power of One Thought by Sister Shwani. We bought 100 copies when we were at their spiritual university last week or the week before, and we've been busy handing them out to our friends and family members and anybody who's interested, because it's such a powerful book. So that's The Power of One Thought by Sister Shivani. And then before that was Mindset by Carol Dweck. Yeah, that was brilliant. So we did the book club on that within our company as well. Yeah. In fact, we've got a book club now for The Power of One Thought.
So when do you get time to read books?
So I do lots of audibles.
Right.
So whilst I'm driving, at the moment I'm reading a really fascinating book called Unreasonable Hospitality. And Anish and I were at a restaurant last night, and I was noticing so much, and it was a good top restaurant, and I was like, they need.
Yeah, I was like, you become an expert in hospitality now. But you said, where do you find time?
Yeah.
You make time.
You make time, yeah.
Yeah, the things that your musts, you make time for.
Yeah.
Right. If it's a should, you haven't got time for it. So we've got all, like I think you said right at the beginning, we've all got 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
What I'm learning and what we've learned, and what I look at the best of the best, and I say, how do they do it?
Yeah.
How does Richard Branson do what he does? How does Tony Robbins do what he does? If he can do it, the biggest mantra for me for the last 30 years has been, if he can do it, so can I.
Yeah.
I just got to find out what his secrets are.
Yeah.
So I carry a Kindle around with me, just going back on that.
Yeah.
And that helps pick up a book and read.
Because you always got it with you.
You always got it
but
with you.
I use Audibles. So if I'm in the car, on a plane, so when I'm exercising, I guess what, I'm exercising the body and exercising the mind, because I got Audibles on, I'm listening to the book. Or when I'm falling asleep even, I just sometimes put it on. And I can still get 10, 15 minutes there.
Yeah.
You can make the time.
Yeah. I started because I used to come in flights, but now I started taking trains, although they're more expensive than flight, but it allows me 4 hours of journey to at least finish half of the book. So which is what I have learned. So I was, okay.
There's so much to learn from books.
Yeah, exactly.
So much.
Yeah. So you have any favorite book, Avnish? Any recent book which you liked?
Like I said, The Power of One Thought. The Mindset by Carol Dweck.
What about Happiness Unlimited?
That's another book. And also Let Them by Mel Robbins. I think that's a great book that we're reading as well.
Courage to be Disliked.
Courage to be Disliked. Yeah, that was fantastic. I really got off. That whole thing about determinism, that whatever happens to you doesn't mean that you will end up this way. Because if not everyone ends up, if you've got a trauma, doesn't mean you're going to end up depressed, for example, or have PTSD, for example, because not everyone gets that.
No.
And so what it allows you to think about is, am I choosing my reactions then? Can I choose something different? So, it's, I think it's a great way to look at taking that personal responsibility that we talked about earlier.
True. So what you guys both have learned about leadership from your marriage, So you've been leading charities, businesses. So you've been married for 11 years, right?
Yeah.
So in last 11 years, what, Avnish, you have learned about leadership from marriage?
Great question.
So leadership from marriage, I think when we, this is quite funny, early doors, I remember coming home and Anita said something about something that she was going to do in the house, and I started to give her a different opinion. She stopped me. She's quite a strong character like that. She knows her mind, and she said, excuse me, that you're the CEO, in the business.
Mm.
I'm the CEO at home, right? And then it really just means, I had to deal with my ego at that point, which I did.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, fair enough. And so she put me in my place. We are a partnership, joking aside.
Yeah.
But you have to have your roles.
Yeah.
And she will say to me, you go off and earn the money. You go and do that. Let me do this.
Mm.
So she'll take over stuff which is not expecting me to do. But, more and more, I think we were sharing this earlier. It doesn't matter how successful you are.
Yeah.
You still have to help load the dishwasher.
Exactly.
Help, do all those things because
This is ghar ghar ki kahani.
it's part of being a partnership.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's the ego at play. Otherwise.
And it has to be an equal partnership when you're leading each other and also knowing your strengths.
Yeah.
So I know Anish is really good at some things.
Mm.
He's best left to do that. And I embrace that. I don't argue about that. And also he knows what my strengths are and just lets me get on with that. Like he has one job to do when we have guests come round, and that is make sure everyone gets a drink, to light the candles. And I said, that's it. You can just do that job perfectly well.
I don't always have that right.
Like a project, then you'll be fine. And I'll manage everything else.
But I think just quickly on equal, I don't think that equal is the right word because equal creates like a balance sheet.
Yeah.
We're trying to weigh out.
Competition.
I think it's more around workable or equitable. Something about fairness or workability. Because the moment you start saying equal, because we're not equal, we're different.
Yeah.
I can't do things you do, you can't do the things I do, or we choose, not even can't. Sometimes we don't want to do the other things,
And the things you don't want to do, decide which ones you're going to outsource. So if you need someone to do the gardening, because both of you are interested in that,
gardening.
pay someone to do that. And, like we say, know your hourly rate.
Yeah. So basically, is anything you can outsource
True.
below your own hourly rate and leverage that.
Yeah, I was doing everything when I started podcast, from editing, because I know technical skills. But then my wife intervened. You have to outsource. You know your value of time, which is more powerful than money. So I started outsourcing that as well.
Right. So, and that goes against our culture because we think we have to do everything.
Yeah. So now, coming back to India, UK, recently Prime Minister Modi was here and he signed the free trade agreement, which the department I work for, they have done the background work to prepare these agreements. So how do you see India-UK relationship in future unlocking with this agreement? That's one question for both of you. So how do you see that India and UK can collaborate? They have a lot of shared history. So how do you see that unfolding for business, especially in care industry? You're part of you're in the property development as well, right?
Yeah, I think obviously the world is in a real flux right now with what the US is doing around tariffs and so on. So I think, it's incumbent on other countries to all rally around and create their own agreements to protect themselves. I think is kind of what's happening here.
Yeah.
And India's like opening up its doors to trade and all the protectionism that they had as well. So I think so for us, we're looking at the Indian market for the older people's care space. I think there's it's a huge market that's going to continue to grow. Cultures are changing around older people going into these care facilities or retirement communities. We went to see some earlier this year. We're going back again in September to have a look, and we're making some really good contacts. And we think that there's space for a British brand to go out there. We have British standards. And everything that we do here, it's a very heavily regulated sector here. So, and it'd be quite exciting, I think, to be able to make a difference in India as we've done in the UK. We've been very strong players in the UK social care market, making a significant impact and difference day in, day out with all the work that we do here. So I'd love to see what we can do in India as well.
And what about you, Anita? Do you see you do a lot of charitable work? You've written books on India as well. So how do you see this FTA agreement will unfold for charitable sectors as well as the business you're involved in, social care and things like that? How do you?
I think right from the start, when I joined the Goyal Foundation, I have been very lucky to visit some incredible projects and to collaborate with some great NGOs. And I can only see that work expanding and growing and see how we can get more people, like both ways, engaged in the work that's happening in the UK. So I don't think it should just be British Asians contributing to Indian charity. I think it could also come back the other way as well.
Exactly. Yeah. India's
I'm-
growing economy. Yeah.
Looking forward to how somebody from India might say, actually, we want to support, say, what we're doing in a Spark with the work with personal development, because young people are young people. They have very similar challenges. So I think there's great opportunities for more in the charity sector, and also I think we've also got a lot to learn for the education sector as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's some great practice in India as well,
Sure.
and
sure.
I think if that can sort of cross-pollinate, and there's all kinds of great educational establishments that can combine, join forces, form partnerships. A bit like how we used to do the French exchange. Maybe we'll have an India exchange
Exactly.
in British students going over to India and English students.
I think that's happening. If you don't know, the Southampton University has opened a campus in India, and I think around 5 or 6 universities in next few years will open their campuses in India, where this student exchange will happen between both countries, not just Indian students coming to UK, but
That's good.
British students going to India as well. And the next on this note was AI, AI and emerging technologies. So AI has been a big disruptor. I've been working in IT and technology for a very long time, and I can foresee a big disruption next 4 to 5 years, especially India, which heavily rely on software outsourcing. I can see that can be fully wiped out by use of AI. So how do you see, and have you started adopting AI into your work, your business, or your charity? How are you using AI? Have you started using AI, and how do you see AI? Do you see it as a disruptor, and how do you plan to?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
AI is absolutely revolutionizing how we
Mm.
do things, from ChatGPT to all the other AI opportunities out there. I think in the social care space,
Yeah.
we're always going to need human beings
Mm.
to provide companionship and support vulnerable people and residents. But I think AI definitely is going to play a bigger and bigger part. One of the things we talk about, for example, robots. And I pose this question to people and those viewers listening to this.
Mm.
If you were requiring care and support, if you were older or younger, would you rather have a human being, for example, providing that person care, for example, wiping your bottom, or would you like a robot to do it? And interestingly, people say, "Oh, a robot."
Yeah, not
Because
me.
I'd rather not have a human being, the dignity aspect.
yeah.
It's a robot, it's a machine, right?
Yeah.
And that robot could pick you up,
Yeah.
put you on the toilet,
Yeah.
whereas now you have to use equipment, it takes time, it takes 2 people, whereas a robot could just literally pick you up and put you on the toilet. So I think, a lot of people, and I see this a lot, people say, "Oh, no, that'll never happen." I've seen that so much. And then when it happens, people go, "Oh, yeah, that was obvious.
Yeah.
Of course this was going to happen." So I think there's going to be huge disruption in all sectors, including care. And I'm looking forward to the day when we've got more robots, because it means that, for example, imagine a resident that can have access to someone to talk to
Yeah.
24/7 all the time.
And no judgment.
No judgment.
No judgment.
And they'll be patient,
Yeah.
they'll be understanding,
Sure.
they can
sure.
respond back calmly,
Yeah.
etc. So I think this is all coming.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also things like avatars, speaking to, like, it could be an avatar of a family member, speaking to a person living with dementia, for example,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they are comforted by the avatar being so patient. It could be their, like, it could be a family. I know I've created my own avatar through Hagen,
Right.
which is interesting. I can speak, I think, 170 different languages on any topic which you create. So there's so much power in this. I think used with care, a lot of thought, and also we consider all the ethics behind AI. I think it's going to really enhance our lives.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're coming to the end of the podcast. This is just a glimpse. We'll do a longer podcast next time. I know you have to go. So my other question, as you said about your Hagen avatar and things like that, you've started a podcast as well, isn't it? And it's called Relight Your Fire. Such a powerful name. How did you come up with this name first? And and I saw some of your guest list, and I was when I do research about guests, I watch their views and all those things. So you're a very inspiring guest on your show. So what do you think has sparked? Because these days everyone is doing a podcast. I know of, even whether they are. Anyway, so what sparked you to start a podcast, and how is it going for you so far? Because being a podcast, I just wanted to learn from your experience.
I set myself a target of doing 100 pod episodes. I didn't know what that would entail or look like. And I said, yeah, I'm going to do this. And I just started coming across some really inspirational people. Obviously, I had a lot of people from my 2 books, and it just started to grow. And from there, every time I'd meet somebody who I thought could really add value, talking about life skills, careers, leadership, I'd invite them to be on the show, and we'd have a great conversation. And
you know, with Anish as well.
yes, a few times. We've done a few things. We've done Loving in Lockdown, relationships. Yeah, and we've done leadership business ones. We've done a range, Mother's Day special. We've done all sorts.
Loving in Lockdown.
That was a fun one. Yeah, we did that. We did a 4-part, 4 episodes on that. And some of the guests I've had have been very inspirational for me, great role models. I've learned a lot, and I really hope my listeners have too.
And just one thing that relates back to some things you were talking about earlier, and I think this would be useful for the viewers to hear, is how did that all start? That started with, I was on a podcast.
Right.
Anita came. I said, Anita, do you want to come and see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, I'll come. So being a yes to things.
Yeah.
So she came along and she saw the whole setup like this here, and I was being interviewed, and she said, oh, this looks quite easy actually. Just get a few bits of equipment, get a guest, and so she started her podcast. So you got to put yourself into environments to see things. You're not going to learn sitting at home. Yeah. So you got to get out there, and you got to be a little bit daring, a little bit ambitious, and be willing to fail. Because not be scared.
Right. Great. So, Avnish, can I ask you a personal question? How old are you?
You can ask me a personal question. Well, I'm 59 this year, 60 next year. Yeah.
So, what's the secret of being so fit and looking so dashing at 59?
Made me blush. I think obviously, good genes has got to play some part in it. I can't take all the credit myself. Mum had amazing skin, even at the age of 89 when she passed. She had incredible skin. So I think I've obviously been very lucky and inherited some good genes. But I think also, a number of things. I think you've got to look after your health. You've got to eat the right things, not drink too much, exercise. And I think above all is not get too stressed.
Yeah.
Of course, we would deal with stressful situations, but, life's, I was going to say too short, but you know what I mean? It's, you have one, you might have more than one life actually because of, reincarnation and all that I'm kind of getting to understand now. But in this life, let's say, make the most of it, and, stress, I think, is making things more important than they really are. Like we look for, we all do it, and I'm learning not to do it, is we think of the worst thing that could possibly happen and then haunt ourselves and stress ourselves out. And then more and more I'm learning that, don't be worried, be concerned. Worry is just endless, just thinking about the worst outcomes. Whereas when you're concerned, you're saying, right, what do I need to do?
Right.
So it's all about taking action. And then more and more I'm learning, take action. It's the inaction that causes the stress. But actually dealing with stuff is when the stress starts to go away. And, I'm not the best at it. I'm training myself, to be honest with you, is get rid of all the things that you've got to do. Do them.
Right.
Don't leave them. Procrastination is what often causes a lot of stress.
Definitely.
It's mostly not as difficult as you think it is when you do it.
I connect to that one on stress. Stress is actually equal to pressure over resilience. So making resilience so big that your stress is just reduced so much. And that's like adds, I think, to everything, is having that great resilience.
Right. So thank you for saying yes to this podcast. I think we've not finished yet, to be honest, because I have a lot more questions to ask, but I understand that you're busy and you've got other appointments and things like that. But thank you so much. You are a beacon of purpose, I think, there's a lot to take in from this podcast, I would say. I hope that it will inspire people to do things. And I always try to get some inspiration from everyone. So I'm sure that, Anita, what the things you are doing, people will especially young girls, will take inspiration from you. It's not just about, as you both said, not just about making wealth. It's also giving back to society and finding a purpose. And the ultimate aim, as I understand, is to be happy, isn't it? So we all do things. I'm doing a podcast just to be happy. So that's all. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best, and I hope we get a longer podcast next time than whenever I'm here.
Sure.
Thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.